been earlier when we started.
Yep, technology.
Probably what we should have done before I start is, I'll start with AJ. If you guys would introduce yourself as, AJ, would you please?
I'm gonna say 1 second. Working it, it's gonna wait till you hear the owl sound. That's not the owl sound. There you go.
Alex Burton. Far now.
Yeah.
Far now. I was just waiting, didn't know there.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, I'm AJ Root. I'm the administrator at the health department and have been there for 26 years.
John Delcy Norm with the Mineral County Health Department.
Samuel Canfield with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection.
Bill Shep, county planner and floodplain coordinator.
Mark Yonker, Chief of Police in Ridgely.
Charlie Johnson, Mineral County Prosecuting Attorney.
And everybody knows Kirk.
Yep.
And also, I wanted to tell you, Noah Weber wanted to be here today, but he's in Charleston. He won't be back until tomorrow. So.
The prosecutor was good enough to bring, when we had our meeting, he brought a copy of the code, the section that covers the authority the county commissioners have. And, it spells out in here what you can do and what you can't do in regard to, having like a code enforcement officer, litter control officer, things like that. I don't know if you have a copy of it.
No,
I'll
what's
give
it-
you my copy.
No, you keep it, give me the code, I'll look it up.
It's in chapter 7, right?
It's 7-1-3-FF.
FF.
Dash 3FF.
Three.
Yeah. 3, there's, yeah,
713 FF. Okay, I'll look at it.
And you know, that's, I mean, we had our meeting and this is, you know, this is either the make it or break it time for me like I said, it's something that's gonna have to be addressed. If it's not addressed now, it's gonna have to be addressed in the future. It really is, I'm telling you. I mean, you got people in Kaiser and any municipality, they have to follow certain rules, and then you got people out in the county that don't. And, one of these days, somebody might move next to one of you and they might have a dump wheel on you. So, and I'm not saying that, I think anybody should, when you buy a piece of property and you maintain it, you don't buy it so it depreciates. And when you got your neighbor moving in and you're losing property value on account of somebody, it's out of your control. This is something that's gonna have to be addressed eventually.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I don't know how the county feels about hiring somebody. I'm sure that they could probably find somebody it's not like New York City where you need to hire somebody full-time, but even part-time. 1 or 2 days a month, they get a complaint, they go out and check it, and then they address it. That's probably what this is gonna entail. It's not gonna require somebody to be doing this 5 days a week, but it is something that's gonna have to be addressed. And,
I know, I'm very familiar with the one, I've got complaints about the one in Burlington.
the one that the guy
You
sent a
showed me
picture of,
it. Yeah, I know all about, I can take you right to it.
yeah.
And there's a place over next to my house a few years ago. We got one of them cleaned up. One of them did get cleaned. The gentleman bought it and cleaned it, but the other one we had, I called anybody.
Called me first.
Huh?
You called me first.
I could have.
You did. We talked about it for years
Yeah.
and it was, cause I will say, the health department usually, with these properties, usually the health department is the first call. I will say that. The problem with that is back in the mid-90s, and I can't tell you, it was around 95, give or take. Solid waste and that sort of thing was taken away from the health departments and it was actually recoded over to the. So, when people call and come to the health department and say, well, you need to take care of this property. It's not under our purview or our jurisdiction to do that. And that was my thing. I want to be clear about that because I know we've been brought into this a couple times. We are willing to help and do whatever we can. There was even a property several years ago that I spearheaded that was long before Roger was commissioner, it was up on, the ridge there. And we took Sheriff's Department, DEP, Department of Highway, we took everybody up there to try to get that thing cleaned up and back and forth through courts and this and that. And again, that's the hard thing is, and it kind of led its way to the Building Safety Committee. As far as that goes, although it's looking at some blighted properties, it's more looking at, the safety and health and well-being. And you get into a fine line of what aesthetically looks good and what is health and safety issues. There's a lot of things aesthetically that I may not like, but at the same time, that's your right to have, you know what I mean? And so there are some things there as well.
And I agree 100%. That's why, section 7-1-3 KK, it's the one that, it provides the county commission the authority to eliminate hazards to public health and safety. And it also specifically says any property that the county commission declares a public nuisance can be abated by the county. It doesn't specifically say trash.
It
just
can
says
be,
public
but it
nuisance.
can be abated, but then the problem is the county has to pay that bill. And then there's a lien put on that property and they may never see it.
I understand
And
that.
it's the same with the municipality. I'm not just saying county, but there's a reason why Piedmont and these other municipalities are in the same boat. Because they don't have the funds to go clean up these properties, because then they're putting tens of thousands of dollars in it to clean up, and they don't have any recourse to really get that money back.
But the issue with this property, with the one that's right outside of Ridgely, is there was not gonna be any cost to anybody because REAP was gonna come in and clean it up.
Yeah.
People just refused to do it. And the issue is that somebody has to order these people to clean their property up. That's the issue. They're not gonna clean it up on their own. If you write them a ticket, they're just gonna write a check and they're gonna come in and pay the fine, and that's gonna be it. Somebody with the authority has to tell them they have to clean it up. Whoever that is, I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for 2 years, longer than 2. But REAP came down there, was willing to clean it up, and they didn't want to clean it up. It's because they weren't ordered to, and that's the main issue. Like I said, it's not in Ridgely. Why I'm here.
Countywide.
Yeah, it's exactly. And you know, I answer to people just like you do. And if you guys come to a conclusion at the end of this meeting, or whenever you decide what you're going to do, and you decide not to do anything, that's fine with me. Because then I can say, I did all I could do. It was left to them. They are the ones that didn't do anything about it. That's all I care about. If you don't want to do anything, that's 100% up to you.
No, I'd like to do something, because I'm dealing with it now. No, it's the place that AJ was referring to where I talked to him, the one got cleaned up. The other one, REAP come in and cleaned it up twice. And it's not as bad as it was the first and second time, but it's the people.
Well, 90% of the time,
It is.
it's a recurrence. It keeps happening over and over again.
And it got so bad, it was so bad there when a friend of mine built a very nice home over there up Nobby Road. He built a very nice home. And they didn't want to loan him the money on that place to
Well,
build his house.
I can
Because
understand
you can't
why.
get it out of it with it going by that piece of a junkyard they got down there. That was said. That was actually happened.
But what I'm bringing up is what the prosecuting attorney gave me. This was the 2 options, and the one's completely out of the question now. So do you agree this is probably the?
Good. We'll switch spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Jump up there.
I'm 100% in favor of doing something.
Well, there's a little background. I said, I personally haven't been to the property that Chief Yonkers is talking about, but I know it's been an ongoing issue. I know he's called my office quite a few times about it. My assistant prosecutor was helping him out with it, but things weren't moving along, so I decided to help out and look some things up myself. And the West Virginia Code 7-1-3 FF, that's something, there's already a county ordinance on it. It was approved back in 2022. And it's a tough situation. It's really, when you look at things like this is, because, we live in West Virginia. Like, no one wants anyone telling anyone else how to use their property. You don't want to trample on people's rights. And I think, gentleman made a good point about aesthetic versus health concerns, and that's what this statute is more leaning towards, is health concerns. From the conversations during that meeting, what I was told about that property, I guess there was an issue where there was a fire some years back. There was a really bad vermin issue, and those could be considered public safety concerns. Kind of going back towards the trampling people's rights, why I like this way of going about it, and just that options are very limited, is this way also going through this statute or the ordinance or this method, it also protects the property owners, because there is basically a complaint we brought before you all, you make a decision, they'd have an opportunity to appeal it. So there's checks and balances to it. They'd have an appellate process if they don't like the ruling. And I think that's, when you have situations like this, that's probably most important, is we're looking out for public safety. We're trying to clean up issues, but we're also protecting the property owners' rights and giving them a avenue if they don't like a decision, instead of just issuing an order.
I'm in favor of protecting people's property. 100%. But I'm also in favor of not having to drive by a trash dump when I go home with an evening and see it, because it's affecting the price of my property too. And that's how that works. So I think we need to move forward on this. Daniel, what's your thoughts? You're in the DEP.
So what I brought today was Jason to this discussion and giving maybe an avenue for the towns to actually have potential funding to deal with dilapidated buildings, demolition funding availability potentially. That's what I was going to share, and I was going to give it to you if you would want.
Yeah.
This is I had emailed you. This is what I emailed you. But the one on the one below it is a survey that the dilapidated building program, John King, he is the program manager, but you can conduct that survey. The county municipalities can, and there is a funding pot available through the DEP that I don't know what all is included in required of the county or of the municipality, but I think at least a survey of what dilapidated properties there are, etc. But you going through that, you can potentially get funding to help demolish those and clean it up. That the very top one is an example, I think, of this in progress of the work being done to clean up West Virginia, throughout West Virginia, right?
And this form that you presented.
Yeah.
Just exactly, what do we have to fill out? The landowner fills it out, the complaint?
So the county or municipality at the top, I think it specifies more directly, but it's an online survey that the DEP has provided. That you provide those details, and you can have following that. I think they'll follow up with you, right? Like, but John King is the contact, which I don't know if his contact information is on either of those, but I can get that to you. Okay, good. He's the lead. He's the program manager. So, but that can be a financial avenue potentially.
So there is funds out there to help.
As far as I am aware, my understanding is that they're trying to get it renewed, more additional funding coming into the program. I'm not totally aware on the progress of that. Let's say that, because this is going throughout the state, right? So there's, as we've mentioned, numerous areas of needing demolition funding. So, but that could be an opportunity in that way.
This is what the city of Piedmont did.
I'm not for sure.
I believe so. Through this program.
but it has been moving to different communities too. And I think it's a good opportunity, and as I said, I think it does. They want structure, right? Like this eventually working towards not surveying, but understanding where all your houses are, buildings that need demolished, putting that all together, that information together. I think the questions get into that type of information. So getting that information to answer them would be a step, right? I hope that is helpful in the in terms of the Ridgely issue. That is outside my department, unfortunately, and REAP has attempted, and environmental enforcement has attempted, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time they identified those trailers as their storage property.
4 of them, I think.
Yeah.
One of them they live in, I guess.
Yeah, and so it's that discretion between what is being used as storage and what is actually trash, right? And it's a fine line there apparently. So I'm not so sure on how to answer you on that one. Sorry.
It's all right.
But otherwise, I hope John King will be a much better contact than me in this for that funding program. But yeah.
So where do we need to go from here? We know it needs to be done. What's our next step? Because I'm not familiar. I don't know. You can sit down. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's not a big deal.
Basically, according to the code section, and once again, this is more for buildings and safety concerns, and that's, but it would be the establishment of a committee. And once that committee is formed, people are allowed to basically forward complaints to that committee. They can review it, they can investigate, and if there's something to it, a petition's brought before you all.
You said that was building safety though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we
And we already have this in place.
Yeah, we
What
already
he's
have
talking
it.
about is already in place. We've had the ordinance since,
Yeah.
well, even before that. No, I'm talking, we've had it for about 15 years. We've had this ordinance in place. I was actually on the committee who formed this to begin with. And it consists of an engineer, it consists of the health department, I forget what ours. Fire safety, I believe, county planner. So this has been in place when COVID came about, everything kind of went to the wayside. I think that's why it was brought back up in 21-22, because I just read the thing again. I didn't even realize it was updated. But it states the same thing. You put something against the property owner, they can come in, they can complain about it, or they can contest it. At that point, you determine if something needs to be done. If they don't want to do it, then you as a county commission can have private contractors come in at that expense, and then you can go to civil court, I believe, and put a lien on that and do it that way. But as far as, jail time or this and that, that's the thing. It's again, that's where I think a lot of it gets stuck, because I know when we did this 12 years ago, when this was formed and we did it, we had a hard time getting hold of people. A lot of them are out of state, and getting them to come in and comply and do different things. And then again, the cleanup is all well and good. It could be done, but then you've got a lien that you may never get anything back on to take care of that. We have grants, different things that we can go do that. Yes.
I'm looking at the actual code. It says, any dwelling, building, the county commission has the authority to look at any dwelling, building, or an accumulation of refuse or debris, overgrown vegetation, toxic spillage, toxic seepage, unsafe, unsanitary, dangerous, or detrimental to the public safety or welfare. And should be repaired, altered, improved, vacated, removed, closed, cleaned, or demolished. Well, I can tell you right now, overgrown vegetation has nothing to do with the safety of the people, and it's in this code. And refuge and debris is in here too, which where I come from, that's garbage. So, I don't know what you guys are planning, but I can tell you right now, the county or the Kaiser has a code enforcement officer, correct? He does. They do. He writes tickets, I think, right? I'm pretty sure he
I
does.
think you're right.
Ridgely has one. Piedmont has a code enforcement officer. And they write tickets and they go through the city court and, you know, I don't know what you guys are gonna have to do. That's something you guys are gonna have to work out if you do anything, but, this has nothing to do with, if you read this, it has nothing to do with, it specifically says in here, if you have a property, and the way I read it, if you have a property that's covered in garbage, the county can order it to be cleaned up. So, and it doesn't say for the safety of the people, it just says it can't be left like that. So, but that's something you guys, it's in the way you interpret it. I mean.
What subsection is that you're reading under? B?
Yeah. I think it's F. I think it's F.
FF 713 FF.
I've got the code, but you got.
Down to F7 here is what he said, the
I
county.
mean, it's a lot. If you want this copy, you can have it.
I've got it here, 1713 FF, but then you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through.
F7.
And the issue with our property was Rick was willing to come in and handle it. And what Mr. Canfield's talking about, in Piedmont, the burned down properties is what you're talking about. That was a lengthy thing, man. That took a year and a half, I think, to get them to actually come in there and actually start the process of tearing something down. I mean, that's another year and a half that you're gonna have to, I mean, I can understand if it's burnt down and you're trying to get somebody to pay for it. Because there's a lot that is involved in tearing down a building. But, I'm familiar with I think the city attorney in Piedmont had to be involved in that. You're right, Mr. Del Signor? And it took a year and a half for them to actually start the process of removing some of these buildings. And
So AJ, who's on the committee? Do you recall?
At this point, I'll tell you who's supposed to.
The whole problem we had was we didn't have an engineer.
Right, John and, you need a county, that's the biggest thing, right, John? You need an engineer.
We don't have an
So
engineer.
you need an engineer, you need county health officer designee, which, used to be me, now is John. Fire chief from the county fire department or, someone designated, county litter control officer. And then, 2 members at large appointed to serve, 2-year terms. And the sheriff shall serve as the ex officio committee member. That's your committee. I mean, that's our ordinance as far as that goes. It's already.
how many at large did you say?
2.
Yeah, this says 1 or 2 if the county chooses to hire 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the code.
Yeah.
This is written from that code. If you go to, Mineral County website, it's on there. And it's written from that code, because if you look at the top of it, per West Virginia Code 713 FF. So it's literally what we're talking about. So,
The person that's missing is the engineer.
yeah, as far as I know.
But it's never been an issue. Take this property originally out of the equation. If a property that meets your definition of needs to be addressed, what would the county do? You're gonna have to address it somehow. You don't have.
Building safety is just limited to building safety.
So I understand that. I just like I understand, like the code enforcement, somebody got into a fight argument with me the other day about the fire marshals in charge of code enforcement. They're not. They're in charge of only code enforcement that happens inside of a house, actually inside a residential property or a building, something like that. They don't do anything with the outside. And this guy wanted to argue with me and said the code enforcement officers can't do what their job is. And I tried to tell him, and he was like beating my head into the wall. He didn't want to listen, but, like I said, I don't know, this is something that you guys are gonna have to address and, when you guys figure it out. you're just gonna have to let
My
me know.
question is, my question, now this might be a dumb question, but if you got a dilapidated place, you got a junked up place, let me say it that way. A junked up place like the two that I'm thinking of. Why do you need an engineer to say, yeah, that needs cleaned up? The common ordinary person won't be able to, right?
Well, I mean, if a code enforcement officer can go and write a ticket to somebody and tell them they gotta clean their property up. You should only need that person, you know what I mean? I don't understand why you need to bring everybody into it. I think we're all in agreement that there's several properties around the county that,
Oh, my.
that if the world was perfect, they would be cleaned up, or they would be ordered to clean them, you know, the owners to clean them up. And it's getting to me more and more. I've looked around and watched, it's getting bad in some areas. Definitely. Well, Joel, do we have anybody we could put on that?
With the title and code enforcement.
Yeah, John would do it.
No. I'll speak up. No. No, I, believe me, like I said, this has been a thing, that I agree, and don't get me wrong, I agree. I completely agree. But the way the laws and the codes and everything are written, a lot of it's tied, it ties your hands. I would love to be able to just go out and get a ticket, boom, here, you got it, and you've got X amount of days and it's done. If not, you know, fine, court cost, jail time, whatever it is, if you had that kind of hammer behind it, I think you would get stuff done a lot quicker. I mean, even with health department stuff, where you have other agencies that can literally just go out, write a ticket. We don't, we have to go bother our wonderful prosecuting attorney or and say, would you go put this in magistrate court for us? Because we can't even go put it in ourselves, which is a joke. Like, I don't understand it. So, I get it, because like I said, I know the properties, we drive by them all the time, every day. And it's just like, I can't, you know, John's working with me a lot of time, man. What over, especially this time of year, it really starts popping up again, but there's, I know one in particular in Burlington, and, you know, I won't get into where it's at, but talking about it and talks to, you know, the complaints are, well, we're getting rats from it. How do you know? Well, I just know because look at that place.
Yeah.
Do you see the rats physically coming in and out? Do you have evidence? No. Can you take pictures to show us? No. So I mean, even on our end, more than likely is it coming from there? Yeah. But then on the other hand, they're right near the river, you know, or as far as the creek. So are the rats coming up from that? Or, you know what I mean? There's a whole lot of different things that factor into some of that stuff. As far as that goes.
Well, I can tell you personally from this property, I think it was me and the DNR, and somebody from maybe your office was standing along the road at this property. The rats were walking out of the property. We watched them. We stood there and counted like 7 rats coming out of the property while we were standing there. So,
Would have been Chad's.
yeah, I think it was Chad Swick. That's who it was. Yep, it was Chad Swick. Yep.
Well, I know we got one property over in our area. I don't think there's no rats in it, but the cats is making it a haven. I mean, there's cats here. It's sad. I know that upset people, but there's people complaining about cat issues also, and these abandoned places is bringing them in.
A lot of times people feed them.
Yeah, I don't feed them. I like to see a cat walk through my yard once in a while because it keeps chipmunks and the mice away, but you can get overrun with them.
But as far as, like I said, as far as the issue, it is an issue. I don't know what the best way, I mean, I know the best way to solve it, but with what we have on the books, on what's on hand, and like I said, the prosecutors went through, I mean, do you see anything else really?
No.
The hands are tied at this point, unless there's new legislation that goes through. I don't know if, a lot of people have been trying it for several years.
Yeah, you can't take any one lower section of this code and make that solely apply. You've gotta read it from the top and go down, because there's criteria that has to be met, definitions that have to be
Yeah.
met. What we call trash may not fall under the trash definition by code.
Right, a lot of the complaints that I get, it's somebody's definition, hey, I'm gonna fix that up, or hey, I'm gonna sell that. And you can't, how do you get in and take it away from them?
And no matter how unsightly we may perceive it to be,
They
we,
might be told to them.
it's, you gotta,
And he'll tell you, you may have someone, they may say, well, that's my building material. They may have it piled up, all nice and neat. We may look at, again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, that sort of thing. I may look at it and say, that's just
how many
junk, but
How many vehicles are on there, Mark? Now, that, I mean, there's.
Two or three cars, and one they actually drive, one's full of garbage. And then there's probably.
Well, that's true.
There's two cars and one of them is motor home, one of the.
There's
a mobile home.
There's a couple at the back end of the
There's
property.
a mobile home.
However, they can stuff what they want inside there. We don't have any right to go in there and look into it, say, yes, it's powerful trash.
well, how many is it? Because it's.
Yeah, I know there's a,
There's several in
I
there.
know there's what, 3 campers? At least. I know there's a slide-in camper.
I
And
know
there's two, I think there's 2 slide-ins, there's a tag-along. There's one's that is a motor home, maybe 2 is a motor home.
Isn't there a code section, if they have so many vehicles, they have to register as junk?
That's what I was getting ready to say. There's some with that, and it's with Department of Highways.
I think it is.
Yeah, so there is something that if they're unlicensed junk, so if you have campers, cars that.
And is a sheriff taxing them all?
So,
They
I've
pay
already
taxes on it.
yeah, I've talked to the assessor about it. And they can claim the campers as storage, so they don't have to be taxed on it, but the vehicle, the proper vehicles are being assessed.
The city, Piedmont, most of those 15 houses were the city now owns, however Jason worked out, that's why they're able to go in and
Yeah.
clean them all up, tear them down, the money that they got from this, so that's,
When that building beside Sandy's parking lot, the backside of the sound gallery where it
Yeah.
fell in. I've had complaints about that, and I went over there, I sent a letter, I called the guy, I talked to him on the phone. And he's saying that he's pursuing getting grants to restore it as a historic property.
No, is he the one that's he's out of state?
No, I think he,
Or is he
I
in
think he
state?
is local, it's, can't think of his name, Howard.
So if you go back and talk to Scott Clay, because he was the one that was here when we had started already. Talk to him at some point, ask him, it got to be very challenging because a lot of them are out of state and trying to even get a hold of them
I remember
or to
that.
respond. It was very unfortunate.
Well, I had a resolution of one that John and I went to 2 years ago. And I sent a letter, I got the only address I could get was from Joe Cosner's office, where they mail their taxes to. So I sent a letter, he just thinks it's cleaned up and free, falling through the roof and had a bunch of complaints about it. So I sent a letter out, just basically asking, didn't hear anything, didn't hear anything. And I had another complaint recently and I spoke to them and luckily they had named somebody in the family. And I called that guy and actually he was very pleasant. And evidently the family they're not from around here. And their address that I mailed to his sister, she had moved before I even mailed it. So they didn't get it. They didn't know. But they've actually been paying someone locally to take care of that place and it wasn't get done. So, he's actually gonna come up here soon, meet with me and try to clean that place up. So. But that one is it's a bad building and he's talking about actually rebuilding there. See what he needs to do to rebuild another camp there.
So if you talk to these people and if they're willing to clean it up, that's where DEP can come in and help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I looked at the DEP there that you gave me, the form, that's why I said DEP, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the buildings that are falling down and stuff, is that right?
Yes, that's adjacent to REAP, that's a different
Okay.
different
Yeah.
branch, different department, but, yeah. between Noah and them. Noah does the trash, right, and they would do the, structural, consideration, because Noah does not have the ability to, like, the burnt house in Burlington, right? That's not, that's out of Noah's, purview, so, but they could provide funding towards that. So, as far as I understand.
So we need to set a committee up, but we got a committee, but we don't have enough people. An engineer is the one that we need, right?
Huh?
An engineer.
Engineer and then.
That's one of the
As
hard-
far as the code enforcement part of it.
Yeah, the engineers ones gonna help for like structural building.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna need, because I don't,
That's
I
nothing to
mean,
do with trash or accumulation of anything else.
then 2 appointed, community members. As far as that goes.
Yeah, county engineer. Designee, county health officer, designee, fire chief. Air control officer. And if the commission chooses to hire one or two people like that.
You have to get the prices for the engineer. And that was-
Yeah, we couldn't get, yeah, any engineer we got, we'd have to pay for him. And it would be, I'm not sure, however they wanted much for, however much they wanted per hour. And they were talking about, I think he talked to, Van Rock, and William, Arcane Dad. And they were saying to,
That I don't know.
for them to do anything with certain buildings, I was one, that'd probably be 6 or 8 hours at least. And they were, all everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, John, I was, because the former engineer that was on there, I believe was Dave Van Scoy.
Dave was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him doing that. I don't know if. We talked to a couple of the engineering firms that are in the county, if we could find one that'd be willing to. You know, cause we met, what, it was once a month, I think, at one point, or once every other month. Originally it was once a month, and then the complaints kind of were spaced out a bit more, so it was like once every month, where the board would meet, go over it, and then give direction to county planner as far as the next steps.
Yeah, we need to move forward with this, because it's getting worse.
I completely agree.
It is getting bad. So what is our next step?
For an engineer.
Huh?
Get an engineer.
Get an engineer is our next step.
I would say just get that board, that committee back together, building safety committee. I mean, health department obviously will be on there, and we have no problem with that. You know, you've got the county planner who is, kind of like the coordinator of it. So he would, you know, same thing he does with the planning commission, he would send out stuff for meetings and different things like that.
Is the health department the chairperson of that, or is the chair, in that?
I don't believe it says, I think once you get there, you decide who's doing what.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, so the engineers for like structures, is that what that's for?
Yeah.
Because I see here on section D, it says, in addition to the powers and duties imposed by this section, a county litter control officer shall have the authority to issue citations for open dumps, unlawful disposal of litter. So that would be the person who would be going around looking at the properties that aren't structurally related, don't need to be addressed
That's DNR.
No, but they also have a litter control officer for the.
for the county.
We do.
It's, well, that's what it says.
DNR.
Yeah, the county, well, I mean, the litter control officer, I think, is one of the people that's gotta be on the board. Yeah, it says right here, county litter control officer is a member of that board with the fire chief and the county engineers.
But then our litter control officer also has to be trained
But it
and
also,
certified in law enforcement. And, active with the same authority as any other law enforcement officer to enforce all litter laws.
and also, if you look at the actual county ordinance, you're looking off the code. If you look at the
Yeah.
county ordinance, it says,
It's optional.
The county litter control officer, if the county commission chooses to hire.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's almost 4 o'clock and I get off at 4 o'clock. I don't think anything's got resolved. I don't think anything will be resolved. I'm hoping it will be.
I'm hoping so.
But do me a favor, call me when you have something resolved.
I got you.
Because I hate wasting gas to come over here.
I understand. I got some things in mind. I'm gonna talk.
No, I'm not faulting anybody, but my main concern is I'm writing people tickets in Ridgely for things that people are doing out the county and they're getting by with it. And we can sit here and say there's gotta be 50 people put on this board. And DNR is gonna say it's not their job. And I've been doing this dance for 3 years almost, and I'm tired of it. And I wasted too much time. I wasted my time coming here today. I'll be honest with you, I really have. And,
There's no sense in getting upset.
I'm not upset over it, but I want to be able to tell the people at the next council meeting that nothing's going to be done, which I'm going to tell them that. I am.
DNR, they come out and do their job.
But they didn't write them a ticket where they had to come into court. They wrote them a ticket. I know, I understand that. They could have charged them under another code section, something where they had to come in.
Everybody in this room agrees with you.
I understand it. I understand it. I understand everybody agrees with me, but nothing's gonna be done.
You, as well as every other certified officer in this state, has to go by that code.
Well, I address the same code when I'm writing somebody a ticket in the municipality, the same exact thing, and I do it every day. I looked at a property today that I'm gonna write a ticket to on Thursday. I wish I would have brought you a picture of this property.
Is it under
So you can
city
see
order?
it. It's city ordinance, yeah.
And what
And
is
this is,
the rules and regulations under the city?
I don't know what they are. I can't specifically tell you, but we can sit here until we're blue in the face and talk about who needs to be on this board, and the county's gonna say they don't have the money. The engineer's gonna cost money, they don't have money for that. Litter control officer's gotta be a police officer, gotta have the authority of a police officer. I'm just, it's just so frustrating that I've been here, and I've been here for the last 3 years, the county commission meetings. I can watch the videos online of me coming in here and bringing the same pictures. That property still looks the same. And I hope you guys do actually do something one day with it. I really do. And like I said, I don't even know why I'm here. It's not in Ridgely. It's out in the county.
If the litter control officer, let me ask you this, because I'm not up on that stuff. I'll be the first to tell you. Can they be a city law enforcement officer?
It can be any sort of police.
As long as he's,
It's DNR.
Litter control?
Yes,
it's a DNR officer.
litter and hunting are their primary, code enforcement.
So we need to talk to a DNR officer, see if he wants them on board,
We have.
right?
Well, me, Mark, and the prosecutor as well, the captain with the DNR met, a month ago.
And I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not. I'm just, I had no expectation of anything being done when I came here today. I actually wasn't gonna come because I thought it was gonna be a waste of Ridgely's gas and my economy. And, like I said, I don't have, it's not Ridgely. It's not my problem. I got people on Facebook calling me names because I gave an interview to the newspaper and I told Rhonda at the last the council meeting, nothing was gonna be done. She said, well, I'll call you after the meeting, the commission meeting, and you can give me an interview. And I said, well, there's no need to call me because I'm gonna tell you that there's gonna be a reason why nothing's gonna be done. I don't have no control over that. It's not in Ridgely, but I'm the guy here. And I just want to pose this question to anybody in this room. If that property was next to your house, would you be bitching about it? Would you be mad about it? Would you want something done about it? That's what the people in Ridgely want.
Yep.
That's all. You guys do whatever you think's best.
Mark, do you know if the DNR still has an open investigation on it?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Who you work for, DEP? They had an open investigation. They wrote in what they call notice violation. They write these things called notice violations. Well, apparently you can get 100 of them and you never get nothing. Chad Swick told me that. He said, yeah, we write these notice violations. You gotta clean it up. If you don't, I said, what's the penalty if you don't clean it up? We write you another one. So there's no punishment. And
Well, I just want to add that me talking to the people, the woman actually called me one day and said that she asked me if we could still do a dumpster. And I said, I will call and find out. She goes, give me a dumpster in here. We'll get this place cleaned up.
And
I called Reap and I called Noah Weber and he said, well, I can't do anything there's an open investigation in it, so we can't supply it.
Well, if you could set something up, that'd be great. The last issue
yeah.
we had with REAP coming in was they come out and wanted to say what could be thrown
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
And REAP doesn't work that way. REAP
Yeah.
comes in and they throw everything away. You start new, you clean it up and you start new. And the issue was they were saving junk. I mean, there's a pile of bikes back there. Well, me and the DNR guy walked to the complete property and there's a pile of bikes back there. There's probably 30 bikes in a pile in pieces. And they're just laying there. I mean, and they've been back there for years. Hard to know how long they've been there. But like you said, one person's trash is another person's treasure. And, you know, I don't know what they're intending to do with those bikes, but I don't think anybody's gonna be putting them back together riding.
They got enough scrap metal there. They got a couple, several $1,000s of scrap
Let me
metal.
ask you this, you went to the NR, you've met,
Mhm.
what was the conversation there? Cause you keep saying, well, I can do this under a certain code.
What did he write him a ticket for, Joel? You remember? I can't
There,
remember.
he was
Mandatory
able
disposal or
to,
something.
he was able to identify, I think a couple trash bags outside the back door. He kind of the back door.
But now one of these, I have a picture, there's an aerial view, somebody flew a drone over, pictures, one of the trailers doesn't even have a roof. Completely missing the roof.
I'm talking
And
to
it's
the
just,
dump yard,
and
the
it's,
scrap
and
yard.
when we walked around, and
And I'll
the
bring
guys,
in
go right
the
here,
receipt
use
and
this
the money.
trailer. He said, oh, my mother might do crafts in it one day.
I was willing to do
Okay,
that.
you've been there, John, you know what it looks like.
That sounds like something they would say.
They've got, what, 300 spots.
And I don't care what time of day it is, or what season of the year it is, you can ride by there every day, and that back door sitting wide open. In the middle of winter, when it was 1 degree, that back door was sitting wide open. I went up there and knocked on the door the other day, and when they opened the door, a pig came out and a bunch of chickens. So,
Shouldn't laugh.
Hey,
Like I said, if, with our concern, because we've dealt with it not just here, all across. If we had the teeth to actually do something.
it's like a dog with no teeth. That's
Exactly.
exactly what Chad Swift told me.
Yeah,
about
there
the
is
notice of
nothing,
violation.
we have nothing.
And I'm not faulting anybody. I'm not mad at anybody because there's a specific set of guidelines you have to follow. Everybody does. Joel does, I do. You guys have something you have, when you're doing your job, you have to do it the right way. Or you're either 100% right or you're 100% wrong. That's just the way it works. And the county commission does not want to throw these people out of their houses. You don't.
No.
Like, you remember, Mr. Leatherman, at one of the meetings, you said, well, why can't we just see if they can get a property in Cumberland and move them out? Well, that's
why I feel
But
Because I've dealt with it.
If the problem right now getting the dumps there is because there's an open investigation, what we gotta do to.
I don't think it's open anymore.
Talk with DEP to get it closed so we can get a dumpster out.
We'll check. I will call.
That would be
I will call and find out if there's still an open investigation and I will go talk to these people.
If you have a rapport with them, you need to be the one to talk to.
Well, I've had a report and I went to them, what can I do? What can we do to help get this cleaned up? What can we do? And so that's how I've been with them. And she actually was able to say, of course, I know, get the dumpster in there, they clean it up, it's good for 2 months and it's probably back the way it was.
Sure, but at least we
progressed somewhere.
And if you get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Maybe later on down the road, if it gets to that condition again, you can walk in and have them do it again.
Yeah.
And like, I agree with you 100%. REAP was ready to come in and clean it up. When they come out and said they weren't taking this, they weren't taking that, REAP walked away. And I know why, because they wanted completely cleaned up. And,
even on Mike's site, what they do, they went and got the 2 bags that were out back somewhere.
and I rode by there today. There's a wash machine and I think it's a dishwasher, which I don't know where that came from because it didn't come out of that house, laying over the bank. And I even thought about getting hold of Maryland because of everything falling off of their property down over that bank, heading toward the Potomac River.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that we can maybe address.
Are they still getting the solid waste? Or did they quit?
Maybe.
They were having trash collection one day.
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do.
that was probably a year ago, but I do remember them saying they had it, so I was just kind of curious.
Well, and I think, like I said, this one has a pretty good rapport with him as well. I know I went out with him. At one point, I went out when he was just to kind of be another set of eyes and things, and same thing. I think they respond well by you within a little bit.
I mean, I don't mind going talk with them.
But it's, I would say that'd be the initial step is.
And if you can set something up, that'd be great. That would
Yeah,
solve
yeah.
the whole problem. in Ridgely, but it's not gonna solve the problem in Burlington.
Yeah.
You know, all these other areas, but that'll give you time to address something. But if REAP would come in and do that with every property, that would be great, but does the state have the funding? Do they have the funding to come in and do that? Are they willing to come here and do that? Yeah, no, right? Yeah, so, but that's something that if you could work with them, talk to them, see what they say, that'd be great. It's not gonna hurt to ask. But, I mean, they know we're here, you know what I mean? They know that this is an ongoing issue, and it's just not gonna go away. But no, I'm not mad at anybody. I don't live in Ridgely. I don't, the only thing that bothers me is when people ride through town, they see that welcome to Ridgely sign and they think, my God, that's Ridgely? And that's what bothers me. And I know why the people in Ridgely are upset. I know why. And, you guys need to figure this out. This is a job that you guys have to figure out. I can't, it's something you guys gotta figure out. So, but I'll be more than happy to help you. If you can talk to them, if you wanna go up and meet them and you want me to go with you, I'll gladly go up there. They don't have anything against me. They don't. They've always been nice to me. There's an employee in town that they don't really like at all. But it's not me. So, I don't have a problem going up there and talking to them. Every time I've actually went up and talked to them about other issues, they've corrected them right away. Like they've got about 100 chickens and they just come into town and run around. Wow. And they went and got them all and took them out of town. And, so I don't think you'll have a problem, but if you do, I'll gladly go up there with you.
I've never, I went and talked to them, been on the property probably half a dozen times.
Yeah.
And they've never, even the day I got no Weber there, they let us walk around and look at things and talk to us and everything.
And there's no doubt in my mind that if there was some way that ordered them to clean that property up, they would clean it up.
Yeah.
I know for a fact they would, but there's just no way to do that. There's nothing that we can do right now to make them clean it up. They don't want to move. They're happy living there. And, like I said, I think we've come to the end where you guys got to figure this out. So
The picture, you can fix that girl down the fairgrounds, coming back to Harney.
if anybody wants to talk to me or call me or wherever, just give me a call and let me know what's going on.
I think we ought to talk to the Department of Natural Resource man here in Mineral, DNR officer.
Well, I would get a hold of Chad Swift first
Okay.
about that notice of violation thing. I'm sure it's up. I'm almost positive, because the last notice of violation we wrote in was back in August of last year. And I think they only run like 30 days or 60 days, something like that. So,
Unfortunately, I'm not sure.
maybe you can get a hold of him.
I think it is 30 days.
Yeah, it's 30 or 60. But I would talk to him and see what he says. Go from there.
All right,
Okay?
thanks, Mark.
All right, no problem. You guys have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
So if it's not a structure, you really don't need an engineer, but
No, just depends. But like I said, the committee, you're supposed to have, at some point, you're gonna have to get one on
I'm
there.
thinking of one. I'll talk to him.
Alright. And then, community members, I've got one in mind. Our old buddy. Bro. Used to be he worked for the health department, so he has a good head on his shoulders. He's on the planning commission, Denny. So he has,
I forgot to.
so he's worked on that kind of stuff. He's worked health. He has a good,
He knows what to look for.
He
He knows what to look for.
he knows what to look for. I think he would be a good one as far as to put on the committee if he'd be willing. I'm sure he'll love that I volunteered him for that, but, he can yell at me later. When I take you're here. I know. But I would say twofold. I would suggest to the commission, go ahead and check on that. And if it's done, get REAP over there. And at the same time, go ahead and get that committee formed back up and get them moving and see what we gotta do that route. But no matter what, with the code, the way it is now, your hands are tied with what you can do and how you can do it. And that's what we ran into a problem with before. I understand his frustration, but, unless we get, someone to rewrite code and rule and all that stuff.
It's still gonna come down to who's to say that these flower pots are junk.
Yeah.
They want to keep them. That's,
And that's the thing, if they've got this, if they've got the flower pot, if they're stored neatly, well, I use them for this. Again, you know, that was the whole, when we had this whole discussion committee originally, when we were doing those safety ordinance. You know, I understand, but if someone wants to go paint their house a bright purple and it looks like, to me, I can't stand it. Doesn't, it's not affecting you.
Yeah.
You know, physically, you know, health and well-being and all that kind of stuff, safety wise, it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So again, the aesthetics come in, play a lot of it, you know, and it may be the way they store stuff, but, you know.
And that's hard to define. It's hard to define
It
what
is.
is.
Now, the overgrown grass over things like that, he didn't understand. That is a health concern because you know, you have pest control, vermin, you know, have everything that, you know, kind of hide themselves in that kind of thing. I mean, we even have that with, mobile home, manufactured home communities.
Yeah.
Where the ones that we have under permit, we can get on them about, you know, maintaining their, you know, that kind of stuff. So there are different things and there's reasons why some of that's in there. It's not as, you know, because I know when he talked about, he didn't understand why, well, that's just, listen, there is a reason why it does affect it, but, I would say those two would be the first two things. I mean, it's not, no matter what, folks, and I say this for everybody on there too, it's not gonna be an overnight thing. I mean, it never has been, unfortunately. It's not something where you complain and next week, you know, we worked on the one on Tucker, it was years.
Oh, I know.
In years, and so, and then, because I started it, and I think it was even done before, but I started it taking everybody out there. And then John jumped on board with it afterward, and he's the one that finally worked with a lot, you know, helping to get a lot of it done. And then work with, but it was with, Jerry Wisner, right? Yeah, as far as that goes. And, you know, but like I said, it was not an easy thing. To get taken care of, and that was one problem. So, unfortunately.
when then outside of municipalities too, you kind of run into. You bring something up to somebody, hey, I had a complaint, you know, you're trying to be nice about it, then they come back and they say, well, that's why I don't live in town. And then moved out to the country because they want to be able to do what they want, and be able to have what they want, so. It's hard to take away from them, you know, just really have to.
That's the other side, that's a big struggle I have. Where people have property out in the country and they wanna be able to do with what they want, or, I mean. Well, you know, if they move into an HOA, they know there's rules with the HOA. If they move into a city, they know the rules are there. If they move into the county somewhere, those rules ain't established or aren't established. And then now we wanna enforce something on them. That's a struggle there too.
And then, you know, the Trinum Drive is just kind of an ongoing thing up there.
Yeah.
And a lot of those owners don't live around here, they.
Yeah.
Places out, move in and out, you know, you might have one that's a good renter and something else jumps it up. It's hard to really.
Yeah.
Do much up there with it.
Come on with that, and then you get the kind of similar situation with that road.
There are people up there, I've told, you know, get an HOA together.
Yeah.
And
Well, if you go back when that was formed, they did have an HOA up there.
Oh, they did?
They had an HOA and they were actually under permit, because they, felt back then it was mobile home park rule regulations for health departments. However, over the years, that has been pieced off, sold, so where they're individual lots now, so it doesn't, the way it's done, it doesn't necessarily fall under our regulation anymore.
Okay.
So we don't, it kind of takes you know, and then they lessen the mobile home park, or I should say manufactured home regulations. And they kind of lessen what we were able to do and stuff like that, but with them selling everything off and individually owned, that it changed the dynamic of it. It's more like a subdivision at this point. High density subdivision.
You know, who owns that road?
That road is part of it was part of the park. Like I said, HOA originally that they had up there took care of it, but it's kind of fell to the wayside.
You look at the parcel viewer, there's lines up in between the properties. You have all the properties divided off, there's lines, so there's nobody that owns that property.
So who's the one that originally did that?
Welch.
Welch, yeah, it was Welch.
So, yeah. Anyways.
Alright. Well, I definitely think we need to try to do something. Definitely.
Well, like I said, I think that. I would say.
And I'm good with people having, if you own property, I'm good with you doing on your property what you wanna do with it, until it affects somebody else. Then that's where it needs to stop.
Yeah.
When it's, and that's what, of course, it's not as bad as it was over our way, but it's still not the best. Does any of you guys want any cats?
No,
We're getting overrun with them. I'm getting tired of putting them in barns. Well, so I reckon that's what we do, is try to find an engineer and get with the DNR officer, right?
yeah.
I created no, didn't mean to interrupt, but I created a card in our Charlo system. So we need an engineer and someone from litter control, which sounds like it's from DNR. So what action do I need to take with this process? Do I need to reach out to anyone?
Let me reach out to
Okay.
an engineer that I
And you're
know
gonna reach out to an engineer? Okay. What about litter control? Who's gonna, do we have someone we can reach out to? Should I do that or is someone else gonna do that?
Joel, what do you
Get a
think?
hold of this.
Either that or you hire one.
But
they have to be
you want
certified.
Candace to reach out to one?
I can reach out to it.
Okay,
I can actually.
Just make it happen.
I need to talk to him as well, because I need to make sure that that investigation's closed with that property.
Pretty sure it is. He's actually out of town. He was gonna try it, but he's out of town for training right now. He would have been,
Was it ever sold?
Captain Lock.
It was gonna be my lot, and I'm almost certain it's closed.
Two?
My lot.
Okay,
It's
all
close.
right, I thought it was, okay.
We discussed it at the meeting we had, so.
Okay. I'm gonna hold my. Yeah.
well, thank you, guys.
All right, there.
Thanks, Charlie.
Next, we need to have an executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give us a little insight, and keep us. Thanks, Scott. for coming. And
Thank you.
Could you hold on to that, because we'll.
Just get relevant, you know where I'm at, you need to be.
I know one of them.
So is there any other you looking at where I go?
Oh,
Sorry, I know,
Very-
I just remember being down 5-3.
I am now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that building?
I want to try to.
Oh,
It's just what we have. I just want to know.
That are when
But you keep.
Hey, it's over.
they don't know.
That longer.
The guy's name.
I
Started talking to me.
I assume it's never.
And I've provided everything that I need to. But we just got an update. They sent us a list of things that we needed to go back.
There's not, we can't.
It's about like.
I remember.
So I do some mathematical calculations to come up with a linear. That ought to save all that. They just gotta say it where it now.
The individual.
So they acknowledge it. I put it, I did it correctly.
Queen Point.
Well, I did 3 or 4.
Well,
Take a photo.
No, never been.
One, two kids.
Keep on it, or do water. And I think that
Yeah.
on here.
I mean, there's a current one now because I would. Oh, yeah, that's.
Put the executive session in with the work session, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so I need to stop this.
I have 5 or 6 agencies.
But what, then, I make, motion we do it
I never still have.
Am I gonna stop this?
Yeah, stop at him.